Hey guys, it's 919 here with my review for Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, it was a great movie, there were a lot of Easter eggs, and really it started setting up Phase 3. So before I get into that, I'm going to give you the recap of the movie. In the Eastern European country of Slovakia, the Avengers raid a Hydra outpost led by Baron von Strucker, who has been experimenting on humans using Loki's scepter. They encounter two of Strucker's experiments, twins Pietro, who has superhuman speed, and Wanda Maximoff, who can manipulate minds and project energy, and apprehend Strucker while Stark retrieves Loki's scepter. Stark and Banner discover an artificial intelligence within the scepter's gem and secretly use it to complete Stark's Ultron global defense program. The unexpectedly sentient Ultron, believing he must eradicate humanity to save Earth, eliminates Jarvis and attacks the Avengers at their headquarters. Escaping with the scepter, Ultron uses the resources in Strucker's Slovakia base to upgrade his rudimentary body and build an army of robot drones. Having killed Strucker, he recruits the Maximoffs, who hold Stark responsible for their parents' death by his weapons. Together they go to the base of arms dealer Ulysses Claw in an African shipyard to obtain vibranium. The Avengers pursue them, but Wanda subdues the heroes with haunting visions, causing the Hulk to rampage until Stark stops him with his anti-Hulk armor. A worldwide backlash over the resulting destruction and the fears of Wanda's hallucinations incented send the team into hiding at Barton's safe house. Thor departs to consult with Dr. Eric Selvig on the meaning of the apocalyptic future he saw in his hallucination, while Romanoff and Banner plan to flee together after realizing a mutual attraction. However, Nick Fury arrives and encourages the team to form a plan to stop Ultron. In Seoul, Ultron forces the team's friend Dr. Helen Cho to use her synthetic tissue technology together with vibranium and the Scepter's gem to perfect a new body for him. As Ultron uploads himself into the new body, Wanda is able to read his mind, discovering his plans for human extinction. The Maximoffs turn on Ultron. Rogers, Romanoff, and Barton find Ultron and retrieve the synthetic body, but Ultron captures Romanoff. The Avengers fight amongst themselves when Stark secretly uploads Jarvis, who is still operational after hiding from Ultron inside the internet, into the synthetic body. Thor returns to help activate the body, explaining that the gem on its brow, one of the 6 Infinity Stones, the most powerful objects in existence, was part of his vision. This vision and the Maximoffs accompany the Avengers to Slovakia, where Ultron has used the remaining vibranium to build a machine to lift the large part of the capital city skyward, intending to crash it into the ground to cause global extinction. Banner rescues Romanoff, who awakens the Hulk for the battle. The Avengers fight Ultron's army while Fury arrives in a helicarrier with Mariah Hill, James Rhodes, and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to evacuate civilians. Pietro dies while he shields Barton from gunfire, and a vengeful Wanda abandons her post to destroy Ultron's primary body, which allows one of the drones to activate the machine. The city plummets, but Stark and Thor overload the machine and shatter the landmass. In the aftermath, the Hulk, unwilling to endanger Romanoff by being with her, departs in the Quinjet, while the Vision confronts Ultron's last remaining body. Later, with the Avengers having established a new base run by Fury, Hill, Dr. Helen Cho, and Eric Selvig, Thor returns to Asgard to learn more about the forces he suspects have manipulated recent events. As Stark and Barton also leave, Rogers and Romanoff prepare to train new Avengers: Rhodes, the Vision, Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, and Wanda. In the mid-credit scene, Thanos, dissatisfied with the failures of his pawns, dons a gauntlet and vows to personally retrieve the Infinity Stones. So, overall, this was a great movie, like I said in the beginning of my review. So, I'm giving it a 10. It was just a masterpiece of a movie. You know, so many things about this movie were great. The plot, the action, the visuals, the humor. You know, the trailers for these movies, you know, kind of made it seem like the whole tone would be dark. But, you know, this movie, it is darker than the first Avengers movie. And, you know, the humor sort of lightens everything up. Ultron surprisingly was humorous too. It was okay for him to be humorous too, you know, that villainous humor, but I just wanted him to be more badass like he was in all the trailers that we've seen him in. The timing for this movie was great as well. If you don't know, the original cut was supposed to be 3.5 hours long. I personally wouldn't mind sitting through a 3.5 hour Avengers movie. You know, when Infinity War comes out, Part 2 is going to have Part 1 screened at some theaters, so you know, that together, Part 1 and Part 2 is going to be like maybe 4.5 hours or even more than that. But originally Joss Whedon wanted Avengers Age of Ultron to be shorter than the first Avengers movie, and he did accomplish this just by making it shorter by 2 minutes. So hopefully when the DVD comes out, the director's cut will be about an hour long. Some of the cuts that Joss Whedon made were a Loki scene, which really just went into more detail onto the Phase 3 movies and about the Infinity Stone. There was supposed to be a scene involving Captain Marvel. Joss Whedon felt that it was too soon to introduce her in the cinematic universe, so he had her cut. The Hulk had a bigger arc going on in the movie originally, that he would have ended up being gray. Now, in the comics, when the Hulk first appeared in Incredible Hulk issue 1, he turned out to be gray. There was a coloring error, and then in issue 2 of Incredible Hulk, he turned out to be green. So what Stan Lee did is he said that the gray Hulk is a more calm Hulk. He's like, he can talk just like Bruce Banner, and he is an intelligent Hulk. The green Hulk, however, is a more savage Hulk, so he becomes less intelligent as he gets angrier, and he starts to communicate via grunts. The Green Hulk is also intelligent in some of the comics, but most of the time he's just being himself, which is that savage. By the end of the movie, you get to see that Hulk has become less savage. Bruce Banner has more control over the Hulk now. So I don't really expect the Marvel Cinematic Universe to show Grey Hulk in the future. I would like them to show like Hulk like in his green form, but he's a bit intelligent and he can talk without grunting. There were rumors when this movie was going into development that the Hulk would have been sent up into space as an effort to defeat Ultron. That didn't happen, but we saw him in the Quinjet in the end of the movie, so they kind of left that in the air, no pun intended. If the Hulk were to go up into space, I think they would have confirmed it by having him go up into space on screen. And if he did, he would most likely end up in Guardians 2. It's unknown if Mark Ruffalo is going to return in any future Phase 3 movie before Infinity War. He could make a possible appearance in Civil War. He's like the only original Avenger that has the opportunity to show up in Captain America 3, since all the other Avengers are going to show up in Captain America 3. Thor's off in Asgard, so don't expect him to show up. He's having his own kind of plot going on. So as I said before in the beginning of this review, I did say that this movie started setting up Phase 3. We have Captain America Civil War. We got to see Tony Stark and Captain America have some of their differences, with creating Ultron and creating Vision as well. Then we kind of had a setup between Infinity War and Thor Ragnarok. So pretty much with the Infinity War setup, they introduced the Infinity Stones in a more formal way. Now we have Thanos. He's going to be hunting down all of the Infinity Stones. So expect in Phase 3 to see more of Thanos in these movies. I'd expect him to start stealing some of these, to start stealing some of the Infinity Stones within these movies. So with the Tesseract being the Space Stone, it's located in Asgard right now, so Thanos can easily steal it in Thor Ragnarok. I'm expecting a big battle between Thor and Thanos near the end of the movie, or maybe even in the middle of it, just so that Thor knows that there's a bigger force out there. This guy, Thanos, is trying to get all those Infinity Stones. So when he returns back to Earth, he warns all the other Avengers that Thanos is the guy behind everything. The Aether, that is the Reality Stone. So right now it's with the Collector. So easily Thanos could take it from him in Guardians 2. The Orb, which is the Power Stone, it's located in the Nova Corp. So he can steal that in Guardians 2 as well. This could serve as a mid-credit scene, really, just so it doesn't interfere with whatever the Guardians are doing. Because if this happened in the middle of the movie, they would have to address that to the Guardians, and they would have to end up fighting Thanos. And I don't believe that the Guardians are ready to face Thanos yet. I feel like Thor would be a better competitor to Thanos than the Guardians. Loki's Scepter, which was revealed to have the Mind Stone in this movie. Right now the Vision has it, so he could probably steal it in Infinity War Part 1. But the way to get that, I feel like he would have to destroy Vision. I'm not sure if he can operate without Infinity Stone, but if he were to get the Mind Stone, then Thanos would just have to destroy him. If Thanos destroys Vision in order to get the Mind Gem, then he could the Solar Jewel, it could be introduced as a way to restore Vision. Either Doctor Strange could conjure it up, or Scarlet Witch. Probably Scarlet Witch, just because by then they'll have something of a romantic relationship, if the directors of these movies want to convey such a thing like that. Which in the comics they do have a romantic relationship, by the way. The Soul Stone and the Time Stone haven't been introduced yet in the movies, but the Soul Stone, it could be introduced in Doctor Strange. It seems probable, and more likely it could be stolen by Thanos in Infinity War Part 1. The Time Stone, however, this could be introduced in Infinity War Part 2. Devote the first half of the movie searching for it, then by the second half of the movie, or maybe even more into that, the first half of the movie maybe less than an hour, but the second half of the movie, which is an hour and more, this could show Thanos causing destruction in the universe. Thor 3, like I said before, is going to explore more of the mythos of the Infinity Stones as a minor plot. I feel like Thor is going to have a different story going on with Ragnarok. So pretty much this is like the Captain America Winter Soldier of Thor. How I see Thor Ragnarok going down, we have Thor learning about the stones, then he deals with Ragnarok, battles Thanos for the Space Stone, defeats Ragnarok, then he heads home to warn Captain America, Iron Man, Fury, and everyone else about Thanos. So by the end of the movie, we got to see some new Avengers. I think that's what they're calling them, like new Avengers. So we have Captain America, Black Widow, James Rhodes, who's now War Machine. He abandoned the Iron Patriot thing. Sam Wilson, who's now Falcon. By the end of the movie, you saw him sporting some colors that resemble his appearance in the comics. Scarlet Witch, who also got a new do, and the Vision. So the next time we're going to see these Avengers is in Civil War. More than half of the new Avengers have been confirmed to show up in Captain America, of course, Black Widow, Sam Wilson, and Scarlet Witch. So that just leaves Vision and War Machine. So, these new Avengers, they're going to side with Captain America. And then Tony, he'll have like Hawkeye and some other allies within the government or maybe in S.H.I.E.L.D. itself. James Rhodes is going to have sort of a particular dilemma. He's a friend with Tony Stark, a close friend. And then he is on the new Avengers, so he's going to be split in the middle. Same with the Vision. He was created by Stark, and he's based off of the Jarvis program. But I feel like the Vision is going to see what is right, and he's going to side with Captain America and everyone else. Captain America Civil War is going to adapt something like the Civil War comic. It's not going to have registration on superpowers. It's going to have something, involving with the government, not siding with the Avengers, and it's going to resort in Tony siding with the government. And Captain America, he's going to be siding with S.H.I.E.L.D. and the new Avengers as well, and they're going to be fighting amongst each other. I'll make a bonus video explaining how the Civil War comic is different from Civil War, how they could tie some elements in together. So now onto Easter eggs. The Crimson Cowl. Ultron, when he was first introduced to the Maximoff twins, or at least when the Maximoff twins first met him, he was wearing a red cloak. In the comics, he used this identity of a red cloak in his first appearance in the comics in Avengers issue 54. He was the leader of the Masters of Evils. Most notable member was Claw, and he made an appearance in this movie. I'll get to him later. Thor's hammer, in this movie, it was really talking about how only those who are deemed worthy can wield his hammer. The most notable person to wield Thor's hammer is Captain America. He moved it just a little bit in this movie. I expect him to wield the hammer in Infinity War just because it seems appropriate. It seems like the appropriate time to do something like that on that level. The Vision in this movie lifted Thor's hammer, and in the comics he never lifted the hammer. But this is just one of the funny things in this movie, like some of the humor that I was talking about in the beginning. Sam Wilson and Captain America were talking about their missing person case, so that was just a reference to Bucky Barnes. Captain America has a new upgrade to his shield. He has an electromagnetic gauntlet that allows his shield to return back to him. This makes more sense. The super soldier serum, they never really explained it, increases Captain America's intelligence to a near genius level, so it allows him to calculate airborne physics and create a probable trajectory for objects in motion. So when he throws it, he calculates at what point it will return back to him. This electromagnetic gauntlet simplifies how the shield can come back to him. We see this in the comics in Avengers issue 6. They're fighting the Masters of Evil again in this issue when that concept was first introduced. However, this wasn't Ultron's version of the team. This was the first version of the team with Baron Zemo, Radioactive Man, and Enchantress, just to name a few. Stan Lee's cameo, as usual, all these Marvel movies, they have Stan Lee in them as a cameo. He was a World War II veteran, and in real life, he is a World War II veteran. All the vets were Captain America's friends, and they ended up drinking Thor's alcoholic Asgardian drink. And, he gets drunk, and then he coins his, trademark phrase, Excelsior. The Hulk versus Iron Man and the Hulkbuster armor. In the comics, the Hulkbuster armor was designed to stop Hulk if he ever went really mad or he completely lost his mind. So, it was built for the same purpose in this movie. So it was really great seeing the Hulkbuster, one of the most iconic armors of Iron Man in this movie. Dr. Helen Cho is the mother of Amanda Cho, who is the 7th smartest person in the entire Marvel continuity. Helen Cho in the movie seems a bit too young to have a child, so no hopes for Amanda Cho to be showing up in Phase 3, but it was a really nice Easter egg to see. So we have Friday and Jocasta. These are two different things. I'll explain Friday first, then get into Jocasta. Jarvis was uploaded into Vision. He was used to create Vision, so now the AI Jarvis is no longer available. So Stark is scrambling through a bunch of AIs that he already has, and he comes across Friday. In the comics, Stark ended up creating this AI as a secretary for his company, instead of hiring a real life person as a secretary. Jocasta, on the other hand, in the comics was created by Ultron so that he could have a bride, and it was based off the brain patterns of Janet Van Dyne, aka the Wasp, who is also the wife of Hank Pym, aka Ant-Man, who actually created Ultron in the comics. It wasn't Tony Stark who created Ultron in the comics. If you think about it, Vision is sort of like the Jocasta of Age of Ultron. Vision, or Ultron, he wanted to create a new body for himself. It wasn't just like a bride, so forget about that kind of concept. But when you think about it, Ultron kind of created Vision. Ulysses Klaue. So in the comics, Klaue is an enemy of Black Panther, and Black Panther is getting a movie in Phase 3. Ultron severed his hand in this movie, so in Klaue, or in the comics, Klaue has an actual claw that emits sonic sound. So in Black Panther, which is a good chance of him seeing Ulysses Klaue again, you'll see him with a sonic emitting prosthetic claw. Wakanda was also featured as well. This is the home of Black Panther and their natural resource, which is vibranium, which is what Ultron was seeking to create, perfect his body. It is a material most commonly used for Captain America's shield. There was even a Star Wars reference that I had no idea about. Kevin Feige said that in every Phase 2 movie, there has been somebody losing their hand. In Iron Man 3, Tony severs Aldrich Killian's hand. In Thor: The Dark World, Thor loses his hand, but this is just as a ruse. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, nobody really loses their hand but on screen. But Bucky, he doesn't have a hand. And in Guardians of the Galaxy, Gamora severs both of Groot's hands. So like I said before, this was just a really interesting reference that I had no idea about. And I really like how the Marvel group is a bunch of Star Wars fans as well. If there are any other Easter eggs that I might have missed, be sure to leave them in the comments below. So now to top 10 moments, starting with number 10, the new Avengers lineup. These Avengers, the new Avengers, they're like the Avengers B team. We have the Avengers B team that deals with all of the issues going on between these Avengers movies. Then the Avengers A team is going to deal with the bigger issues like Thanos, even though everybody that has been introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to end up fighting Thanos in one big team up. There's been a lot of complaints that Phase 2 movies didn't feature the Avengers, like Captain America was dealing with the shield crisis, wouldn't Iron Man, Thor, everybody else come in to help him. Then we had Thor dealing with the elves and that whole crisis going on in that movie, so, logically, wouldn't Iron Man, Captain America deal with that since it was just a world-threatening event. Then you had Iron Man dealing with the Mandarin. It was kind of like a inside, arc that, didn't really relate to the world itself, but still, wouldn't Captain America, Thor, and everyone else come to help Tony? All of these individual movies, they were made to strengthen the characters within them. Like Tony Stark, he was having a whole arc in his movie, Thor was having an arc in his movie, Captain America was having an arc in his movie. So if you have someone coming in, like all the Avengers, coming in to solve their problems, it will only denounce their journey throughout the entire movie. So now that Captain America and Thor have already had individual character strengths in movies, we can feature the Avengers. So the Avengers B team is more logical now that they've introduced some supporting characters. having all the original Avengers show up all the time would be excessive, and since all these actors have contracts, it will be breaking those contracts, and they won't have enough movies to show up in on those contracts, like those contracts said, when they planned for them to show up in Avengers Infinity War. So they would have to create a new contract, more money, more problems. Number 9, Ultron is created. Number 8, the Thor hammer lifting contest. So in this scene, Captain America is shown trying to lift Thor's hammer, and he lifted it just by a little bit. I already explained this. Black Widow, however, she refused to lift the hammer, and in the comics, she actually has lifted the hammer before. It was in What If Age of Ultron issue number 3. It doesn't fit into Marvel continuity, but still, she picked it up. Even the Hulk had lifted Thor's hammer once. In Avengers Assemble issue 4, Thanos manipulated Hulk to catch Thor's hammer and use it against Thor. A lot of people say like it didn't technically count because he was under Thanos' control, but still, Hulk was holding Thor's hammer and used it against him. There's been a lot of people who have wielded Thor's hammer in the comics. Vision, he has never held Thor's hammer in the comics, but now since he is shown holding it in Avengers Age of Ultron, I bet that the comics are going to put that in the comics now. Like, they're going to have the Vision as part of his continuity. He's going to have the ability to wield Thor's hammer. Number 7, Thanos mid-credit scene. There was a lot of confusion given that the Infinity Gauntlet was seen in the first Thor movie. I didn't even catch that reference, and when I first seen it, I thought it was an Easter egg. But Kevin Feige, he did confirm that there are 2 Infinity Gauntlets, one for the left hand and one for the right hand. It's funny how they took this into consideration, considering that, you know, most people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe probably are left-handed and some of them are right-handed. I don't think the comics have 2 gauntlets for a left hand and a right hand, but they'll probably add that into the movie. The stones on Odin's gauntlet, because in the first Thor movie we see the stones, they're probably just replicas used for display. Number 6, Quicksilver dies. Joss Whedon did say that someone will die, and everyone thought that it would be Hawkeye, just because he was featured to have a family, and even before that he was considered to die. But he was confirmed for Captain America 3 before this movie came out, so that ruled him out as a possible candidate. So, you know, Quicksilver's death, it is going to be a drive for Scarlet Witch to do more good now. Hawkeye's wife was pregnant in the movie, and if you didn't catch the name of their son that they gave birth to, it was Nathaniel Pietro Barton. Nathaniel is just a reference to Natasha or Black Widow, and Pietro is just like a reference to Quicksilver. Number 5, the Vision is born. Number 4, Vision picks up Thor's hammer. Like I said, this was one of the funniest moments in the movie. I like how Joss Whedon made this scene to be silent and have like all the Avengers react to this moment. You know, it just gives us, the audience, time to react to this as well and to laugh at it. By the time, you know, the next person talked in the movie, I think it was Thor, everyone was done laughing in the theaters. So that's just something I really like. Number 3, the Avengers versus Ultron's army. This was an action-packed battle sequence. You know, there were so many combos being thrown around. Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer. And then we had Thor and Vision having their hammer combo as well. A lot of people were speculating that Iron Man had the Bleeding Edge armor. I mean, it sort of looked like the Bleeding Edge armor from the comics. The Bleeding Edge armor is like stored within Tony Stark's body, so it is a cool feature. It's like one of the biggest and most iconic armors. If the movie was going to depict something like this, you know, I think they would have done it in a more formal way. They would have showed Tony creating this on screen or explained the concept of the Bleeding Edge armor on screen. Maybe they did, maybe it's just a deleted scene, but I doubt that Joss Whedon would deprive us of such a moment like that. Number 2, Hulk versus Iron Man in the Hulk Buster armor. There was a funny scene where Tony had Hulk down and he just started hammering him and, you know, telling him to go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And then like the Hulk gets up and he's all pissed and like Tony tells him like sorry. You know, that was just a really funny moment. Hulk and Iron Man have fought many times in the comics. You know, a lot of people say that Hulk would defeat Iron Man and Iron Man would defeat Hulk. Since they've both won on different times, on different occasions in the comics, I think they're an equal match. Hulk gets angrier and angrier, which increases his strength, so in each fight, as he gets angrier and angrier, his strength is unpredictable. However, Iron Man could always improve his armor after every fight between him and the Hulk, and he can also add new features after witnessing an enemy take down the Hulk. And my number one moment, the opening sequence. It was just visually amazing. I just really like how they started off this movie. It was just like an action piece that was so colorful, so beautiful in every single way, and how like it was just filmed in a single shot, how it panned around all the Avengers taking out some Hydra agents, you know, in just one single shot. Like there were no cuts to that beginning scene, and then it just showed the whole team, like that money shot team that we've seen in one of these trailers. So that is it for my review for Avengers Age of Ultron. Are you excited for the Phase 3? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll start making Phase 3 bonus videos as we get closer and closer to that next phase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Subscribe to my other channel, Jedi 50 for Fandom Viz on Marvel and DC. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and Facebook for updates on the Marvel Cinematic Universe and more. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.